Hey y'all, welcome back for episode 6. We made it stick.
Working on sheathing and house wrap today. Will it be successful? We don't know.
Worry, it is currently raining, so we had to make a mad dash outside and cover everything, or make sure that it was elevated off the ground. Day 6 or 7 of framing. Out here bright and early. Now we have to move the scaffolding. First piece of fascia going up. Woo!
You will see as we are installing the fascia, we actually created these temporary braces right by Wayne's hand.
Let's slide it this way towards you.
That helped us hold the fascia as we were screwing in the pieces to make sure that it didn't fall off.
Are we about halfway over there, Wayne?
In between the two.
The material that we used for the fascia was the LP Smart Side texture treated trim, easy to paint. So that's what you see us installing here.
Which way?
To the south.
You'll see in this next clip is the GC using a scrap piece to see if the side piece that we're putting up is going to line up perfectly once we put the front side up as well.
Pretty good.
Yep.
Go like this. Close though. We got plenty sticking out right there.
Don't worry, Wayne has a very important job of holding up the other end while the other end is getting installed. He takes it very seriously.
All right, now that we've finished the fascia, we need to move on to sheathing the actual roof. Most of the supplies that we used for this, for the sheathing, we used a 1/2 inch OSB, and then to keep the spacing proper, we used a 1/2 inch plywood spacer. This is just to allow the wood to move as it needs to.
Okay, so now on to the roof part. What we did is we added a few OSB boards on the top and installed them to create a nice platform for ourselves. Then we could load up the rest of the OSB to be able to work up on the roof. We didn't put all of the pieces up at once because that was just going to be way too much to handle. For the roof nailing pattern, you want it to be pretty similar to the side sheathing. So we did 6 inches on any of the trusses. Kind of went a little overkill on this, but rather have more nails than not enough.
What do you think is 8?
Okay, so now that we're up on the roof, it took a lot to get up there. So what we did is we'd load up a couple of boards at a time, chalk line, obviously tape measures, and we had our circular saw. So what we would do is we'd get our measurement, run the chalk line, circular saw it up there on the roof, hold on to our scraps in case we're able to use them later on. But that's what we were doing to hopefully be the most efficient and prevent us from having to go up and down from the side of the house every time.
This is a really important thing to notice. The GC and I are definitely not related. I don't think you can tell at all. Last piece! Woo! Once the roof was done, we moved on to the top layer of sheathing for the sides. Back and front wall were a lot easier because they're just straight cuts. But once you get to the gable walls where they are at an angle for the pitch of the roof, it's a little bit more complicated. You would measure the lowest point of the gable and then the highest point for that piece of OSB that we had to cut. And then we would measure that on the board, we would chalk line that angle, and then we would cut it. You probably saw this in the last video when we did the bottom layer of sheathing, but we did use a reciprocating saw to cut out the windows. So we have 3 picture windows on that top layer, and you'll see us cutting that out now. We mentioned this in the last video as well, which you should go check it out if you haven't seen it. But if we saw any shiners, which means any nails that we're putting through the sheathing and trying to hit the stud, but it doesn't, it misses, we went around and just hit it out so that it would stick out of the sheathing so we could see it. We would pull them out and then replace. So the process that we found that worked really well for us during this sheathing process was having 2 people up on the scaffolding, 1 person doing measurements to take the low and the high, 1 person helping with adding the gap nails and then also nailing the pieces in, and then 1 person on the ground actually cutting the OSB. See here, just us kind of using those nails to get an 1/8 of an inch gap for the sheathing to make sure they can expand and grow. can see here he's taking measurements for the cut person on the ground so that they can cut it exactly the angle we need. And here is the finished product of the sheathing. Woo!
Okay, as for the house wrap itself, I think Milani and I both thought this was gonna be an easier process than it ended up being. But as far as, following specific rules, for one, you wanted to start at the bottom, so that way you could create that shingling effect going up. So as water runs down, it goes over the next part of the shingle. And then anywhere that you had an overlap, so from top to bottom, you wanted at least 6 inches. And then where you would kind of get to re-wrapping where you started, you'd want another at least 6 inches. That's what at least it called for in our area. And so that's what we did here. Also, leave a comment below guessing how many staples you think we used to hold up the house wrap.
All right, I'm currently trimming off the bottom of this all the way around the 440 square feet. Let's see how long it's gonna take me. Right now it is 11:37. Let's see where we end up. All right, last little piece done. Took me 16 minutes. That's not too bad.
Might have taken a few days, but it's done. Might have almost fallen and died right here twice, but it's done. You can take our word for the backside.